Hey again, everybody. It's Creechboo from Drop Dead Ink, and the last video I put out was talking about inexpensive tattoo machines, and I just wanted to kind of briefly touch on one. It's probably the most underestimated inexpensive tattoo machines that I've personally ever used. I actually liked it so much. Like when I first started getting into the rotaries, I didn't really want to spend a lot of money because I didn't know if I was going to like them at all. So I bought one of these they're typically known as jackhammers. Again, no gloves, but I'm not working on anybody. So you can get these. The first one I actually got, and I'm gonna try during the course of these videos not to really plug any tattoo companies or slam any tattoo companies. The first one I got was from a well-established tattoo company, and it was actually this one that I have right here. And of course, I got my little 14-round beater needle in it that I use to set all my machines with. This is the very first one of these I bought, and I bought it years and years ago. What a lot of people don't know about these particular machines is you can actually adjust the stroke length on these. And I mean, I've heard people saying they're lousy shaders, but if you don't adjust them, you're going to get what you get out of the box, and that's it. But on these little front bearings here, they have this little, little Allen key screw. And if you move this bearing back or forth, that will control the stroke length in it. I mean, I actually like these so much, even though they are pretty inexpensive. I bought 3 of them, and this is the very first one I've had. I've literally had it for years, and I will tell you this outlasted a $700 pen that I bought that usually have a pretty good reputation. And personally, I hate tattoo pens, rotary pens. I mean, I have one now, the $700 one punked out on me. I didn't even come close to making my money back on it. And again, those pens, for the most part, the one I particularly have now, I'll do another video on that. It is adjustable, but most pens are 3.5 millimeter, and 3.5 millimeter isn't really terrific for anything. They make an okay liner, they make an okay shader. They're kind of like halfway in between. I usually just use them for gray wash. But anyway, getting back to these little jackhammers, and these are typically known as swash drive rotaries. So again, by moving this little bearing right here, just basically loosen that up, and this will adjust back or forth. So I have like a little 3 set of them that I kind of use. Like this one particular one here I use as a liner. This one I have here, this is about a 3.5 millimeter, and I use that mostly for gray wash. And this other one I have here, which is, again, is the very first one that I bought, that's probably on about a 4.3 millimeter stroke length. So this is like definitely my color packer. So I have a little set for, whatever. It'll basically do everything. And again, like I always been talking about in my videos, maybe you'll be able to see it, but if you see basically where that needle loops onto, I call it the armature bar on everything. Like on direct drives, they're called cams. But if you can watch that little black thing, which is technically the armature bar, and how far that's traveling, if I can capture it, which probably not. But okay, now granted, this is on 6 volts, and a lot of times I saw one guy doing a video about this, and he's like, "Oh, I was running it on 10 volts, and it blew up. It didn't last a week." If you run a rotary on 10 volts, it's gonna blow up. It doesn't matter if it has a Swiss motor, a German motor, or a Japanese motor. I've never run any of my rotaries on over 7 volts, pushing like 15 plus mags. Again, it's my little 14-round beater needle that I have to adjust everything. Maybe I can catch it, maybe you can see that armature bar moving back and forth. Yeah, a little bit better just on the side. But again, that is your stroke length right there, how far the needle travels back and forth. This is on 6 volts. What I do, as I do with all my machines, period, after every use, I'll kind of snug these down. I actually take these bearings right off when I first get these, and put a little drop of oil around the little post that these bearings can hang on to, ensuring not to get it in the motor itself. So yeah, I mean, 6 volts, that's flying, pushing a 14-round shader, and that's definitely like probably a good, at least a 4 millimeter stroke length. But again, you can really adjust these real easy. If you pull this bearing, well, towards you, again, this is the front of the machine toward the artist, loosen it up, pull that bearing back, and that will control your stroke length. And I use these little, they're called New Platinum rubber bands, and two of those, or one of these basically make up the weight of two number 12 rubber bands. So, that's 6 volts, definitely pushing really good. They're relatively quiet. This thing, I've had it literally for years. And I use it quite a bit, actually. I try not to overuse my rotaries. Like if it's a big tattoo, I generally stick to the coil machines. But for like small tribal or color packing, these are excellent. They're like super lightweight. Another thing that I will do with these, because they're clip cord only. They do have a newer model out that I'm thinking about getting that has a dual clip cord RCA connection. But what I find because these clip cord posts are so close together, and again, this whole little housing right here is kind of plastic, so even if you tighten that screw up really tight, it doesn't tend to keep those clip cord posts from not moving. So I have my little E6000 glue, and what I usually do with these is I'll take this whole little bottom piece right off to ensure that these posts don't move and there's no metal on metal contact, which will short out your power box. Like I literally fill this whole thing up with E6000 glue, put it back on. I've never had a problem with any of these contact posts moving, and these are so inexpensive. You do 1 or 2 tattoos, you made your money back plus. But again, I think they're very underestimated tattoo machines. They're pretty inexpensive, and if you take care of anything, it's gonna last you a while. And again, I've had this for years. It outlasted a $700 pen, and I didn't pay over $50 for this. So and again, there's your stroke length, how far that needle travels back and forth. It doesn't matter. I see guys talking about coil machines and they pull the spring forward and they say that little dime gap in between the contact post. And spring is that gap you're looking for. If you look at some of my other videos, I do explain the gap as far as the nickel and dime gap that you should be looking for. And basically what that is if you put, like when this is running, if you put a dime up to it, you can usually, when you have your tattoo machine running in your studio or wherever at home, when this is running, if you're looking at it, you can see this one particular part of that armature bar kind of standing still. And you'll clearly be able to see it, at home or in your studio, and you can see that top of it. If you put a dime in that, not jamming it in, but if you just put a dime up to it, that's the gap you should be looking for. And if you see a gap of about a dime, it's a fairly decent line. Or if you see a gap of a nickel or more, that's like shader, and that basically is your stroke length, whether they call it the hit or the throw. It's basically, that's how you get your stroke length out of tattoo machines. So yeah, I've never personally had any problems with these. A little maintenance, preventive maintenance is key, especially for inexpensive tattoo machines. And a little oil, a little drop of oil here and there will definitely go a long way. So if you take care of them. These little screws here on the bottom, by the way, these are called damper screws. The theory behind these is if you loosen them up a little bit, it kind of softens how hard that needle hits the skin. I keep them tight because what I found with them, you got to get it in anyway, right? So I always keep them tight. I've tried loosening them just to like test them and see what happened, and usually what happens is the vibration of the machine when they're running, they end up just falling right out. So, again, there's theories behind, whatever. I guess it's kind of nice if your client hears that you have a softer hitting machine, but the bottom line is you gotta get it in. So yeah, anyway, these are normally called jackhammers, and or swash drive tattoo machines. There was a company out at one time that's got a really super good reputation in the tattoo industry, and they had one of these out that was like $160 plus. I actually wish they still made them. Like if you could get, You know, honestly, if you could get a good RCA connection for one of these and put a nice like Swiss or German motor in them, it would be like the perfect rotary tattoo machine. But you know, I mean, I literally have hundreds of hours of work on this tattoo machine. I made my money back the first time out, and it's still running like a charm. You know, years and years old, and outlasted a $700 pen. So, you know, it's not always, you know, the price you pay. Granted, you know, especially with coil machines, like I personally always stick to American-made coil machines. Usually anything, like I say, if you have to adjust your coil machines with a metric wrench, you're kind of asking for trouble right in the get-go. But I do have a Mickey Sharp's dial, which is metric, and you know, that's probably one of the best lining machines ever made. But yeah, you know, nice little inexpensive tattoo machines. And again, all it takes to set them as liners and shaders is just simply pulling this bearing forward or backwards. They all have that little, you know, that little screw in them, these bearings back here, to, you know, adjust them basically. So this one I got like online from a place, and what I did find, as opposed to these that I got from a reputable tattoo company, they have actual you know, Allen key kind of screws in them here, which makes kind of keeping everything tight a little bit better. This is like the newest one I bought, and I bought it online on a company that I'm sure a lot of new tattoo artists go to, and they have these little eyelets in it, which make it kind of hard to really set them. Like even if you pull that bearing back, they don't really set as good as the ones that I did pay a little bit more, but I got from a, you know, reputable tattoo company. But even so, you know, none of these cost over $50. So and they've literally lasted years and years with, you know, hundreds and hundreds of hours of use on them. So just, you know, a little whatever, you know, hopefully if any of you guys are out there thinking about getting into the tattoo business and you're don't want to spend a lot of money on something, want a really serious good like liner and especially color packer, like these are definitely the way to go, I think, as far as rotaries go. So anyway, you guys, hopefully that helped a little bit, and as always, thinking I'll see you again later.